So Phnom Penh, why did we come here? So obviously it's the first place that you will come to. It's the capital city, and obviously it's a lot easier to get around from this area. But fun fact, Phnom Penh wasn't always the capital. It was actually a place called Udon, which is like slightly north, and I mean slightly, I mean it's like the tiniest bit up. So if you wanted to figure out why, go Google it. And we also are interested to obviously find out about the Khmer Rouge and all of that kind of the genocide and the massacre. History. Yeah, and I think it is really important that you understand that element so that we can fully understand and appreciate what Cambodia is now.
Yeah, we don't want it to just be like our travels just being like super dark though. We don't want it to just be about like feeling sorry for this country that's like, oh, the genocide, because I'm sure the people here as well, they don't want to forget, but they want to move on and grow as like a big like power, or a big like economic power in Southeast Asia. Yeah, and it does have that like sense of like a city building up. I was saying to Rosie, like this part here where we are, you can tell it's got a couple of skyscrapers popping up, loads of advertising, but there's still loads of room for big towers to be built, which you can see there is a lot of construction about. Yeah,
for me I think it's just, I'd really like to know about the history, because then you can understand like how well they've really done to like build up, like considering that how much percentage of the...
They said almost 25% were killed.
25% of the actual population, and...
Nearly, yeah.
Yeah, and there was no currency, and there was all, like, they just got rid of so many things, and this country is still standing. Like, that to me is just amazing. So, yeah, it'd be really important to understand both the past and now the present. So day 2, and we're at Wat Phnom, and to get here it took us about, you say 10 minutes? 10 minutes, and it costs 81 pence, bars. And so when you arrive at this temple, you just see a ton of hornbills. We saw them in Borneo, but they are a lot closer here and they are humongous. So if you want to see hornbills, don't go to Borneo, come to Cambodia.
Before coming to Cambodia, a lot of people are like, oh, watch out for scammers, which you get everywhere. But even our like guy at the hotel was like, watch your wallet, watch your phone. Put us a bit on edge, but it's been fine. But I did have my first guy try and scam me yesterday. So I was out the front of our hotel. I see this guy, and he's got shaved head and he's dressed in monk robes, but he like didn't give off the vibe of like being an actual monk. But he came up to me and I stood like hand in pocket, one hand on my phone. He's like, and I'm like, hello, and he doesn't say anything, doesn't like use his words at all. And then he keeps going to shake my hand. I'm like, I see he's got like a bucket of money and loads of those like really bad like plastic fake beads on his arm, which I'd heard of the scam before. So what they try and do is like, they shake your hand like transfer the bead on, and then it's either they won't go without you paying, or like the bead snaps and then you've got to pay for it. But he done it to me, so I was kind of like, all right, he's just standing face to face with me, I'll shake his hand. And then as I shook his hand, he went to grab it, so I just ended up going, no, really sternly at him, and then he just like kind of, and then finally left me alone. But like behind me was 3 like German girls sitting there having a cigarette and a beer or whatever, and he went over to them and grabbed their hands and done the same thing, which I kind of was like, well, normally the monks we see, they don't even look at like the women, they don't touch them. So I think it's either a really big scam, or the fact, I don't know, he's rogue, he's on his own. So we've been to 3 temples today. We haven't had much luck. The first one we were able to go into, yeah, it was quite touristy, which was nice, that's why we're here. But the other 2, we haven't actually been able to go inside the temples.
Yeah.
But it is lovely. Again, it's like Thailand. As soon as you step into like the courtyard, it's just like peace, it's serene.
Really quiet.
Even though we're right next to a busy main road, it's like, oh, I don't know what happens. It's just like,
yeah,
it's like calm.
The one that we're currently in is called Wat Lanka, and it's supposed to be the oldest one in the city, and it looks more pristine, more kind of like tidy than
Looked
the other 2.
More,
yeah. The other 2 looked a bit run down,
and like the other 2 had like tourist stalls and stands outside, whereas this one is literally, it's got like a massive built wall and gate around it, but once you get in, there's nothing. It's just to walk around and have a look. And like, we can't go in this one, but it's worth coming just to see outside. And you've got all like these like almost, I guess, like stupa graves maybe, but the building itself is lovely.
Yeah.
Maybe try and find a roof bar for a view tonight of the sunset.
Yeah. So we are at a lovely sky bar called Lee Moon, and we get to see this view. We are being a little bit of cheapskates. We're just getting a drink here and then we're going for food elsewhere because it's like $15. I know it's still very cheap, but the view for the next half an hour, 45 minutes will be really nice, and we get to see sunset wherever it may be, but also I get to see all the monks.
Happy hour beers, 2 for 1. Wildlife, good view in the sunset. What more do you want? Maybe more money, so if you could subscribe, that would help us out.
We've had a nap, we've had showers, we've had dinner, and now we're back to tell you about how today was. So today we are having a day of looking at the Genocidal Centre as well as the museum later on. So when you arrive, it's pretty simple in getting in. You pay $6 per person and you get an audio guide that comes with it, as well as a little map that helps you go around. We're not entirely sure how much we're going to record, just kind of paying our respects in that sense. You do also need to wear modest clothes, again, just to be respectful. So it was quite a sombre day. It was very, yeah, it was upsetting. I didn't feel like I'd get choked up, but especially at the Genocidal Centre, I could have cried about 5 times. It specifically was really upsetting hearing about the killing of children. As you listen to the audio guide, you are taken around 19 points listening to personal stories and information on what happened at this dark site.
The brutality of it.
Yeah.
So bullets were too expensive. So they were like killing people with machetes, iron pipes.
So anything that they could get their hands on.
And everything.
And then they have a small museum on the side of it where you can have a little look around about extra information. They also had a video which wasn't very good. It kind of like changed the tone.
Yeah, it was everything you'd heard all day anyway.
But then they had a, like, I just feel like the vibe that it gave off just wasn't the correct atmosphere for how that centre is. So we're currently at the museum, so it's S21. This came to $5 each.
Without audio guide.
Without audio guide, but if you want an audio guide, it comes to $10. We decided against the audio guide just purely because we had already done it at the Genocidal Centre.
On reflection, I think it would have been better if we did have the audio guide, because we did a lot of just walking around and just looking without much information. But the centre itself is split into like 4 buildings. So like the first building you go into is just like a lot of empty cells with a bed in the middle and maybe one picture on the wall. So if you had the audio guide, it would be a bit more insightful.
Yeah.
The second building was full of photos of people, which obviously if you had the background, it would have been maybe been a bit more impactful onto how you felt. Third building was like full of like small cells and like barbed wire. So
so it was, we had the brick.
But on the ground floor it's full of brick cells.
Yeah.
And then the second floor is full of wooden cells, which are even smaller. And then the third floor was full of like mass cells, so like big like rooms full of people.
Tone of the museum was slightly different to the Genocidal Centre. The Genocidal Centre, everyone was like listening to their audio guide.
Really
it was
solemn.
Super quiet. Like everyone was walking around, taking it all in. But at the museum, it was a little bit more like, I wouldn't say rowdy, but it was a little bit more like busy and people were talking, and there wasn't as much. I didn't get the vibe of it being something like.
It was more of an attraction.
Yeah.
Not an attraction, but you know, like and I think that might be because it is in the city centre, so it's closer, it's easier to get to, so there's more footfall.
So in terms of us getting around to these two places, there are tours that you can do that are like $15, $5, but all it is transportation. It's not anything else added on to it.
We opted to go for just getting grabs ourselves.
Yeah.
So we decided on the first one to get a tuk-tuk from our hotel to the killing fields. That cost about £4.90 or something like that. But the rickshaw we were in was like super slow, so it said 30 minutes, but it probably took us about 45 to 50 minutes to get there, because they only seem to have like first and second gear. I think that's it. And then after that we got a grab again, another rickshaw, about 20-25 minutes back in towards the city, and then after that we got a rickshaw back. Tomorrow morning we have a 8:45 bus for 6 hours towards Siem Reap, and we'll see how that goes. Cheers!
Oh my god, what the hell are they? They're huge! That's madness!
Okay.
Oh, I don't like it, they're gonna be like that. Whoa! Jesus!